being around. You can hear from the praise system that Africa is a poor continent, but very happy people.
Yes, not poor.
And if you're an African here, you should be proud of yourself.
I'm not poor. I'm rich. I'm poor.
Let's go a bit into the scientific world. I'm Joseph Ansong. I'm from Bukovina State Medical University. If you look at the picture, it depicts the ancient picture of Chenefti. So I'm proud to be coming from Chenefti. The best come from the West. The topic is usage of glutathione, Glutoxim, in the complex treatment of non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. In fact, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis is a condition which affects the liver with deposition of fats and fibrous tissues. Patients with this disease initially do not experience any signs initially. But as the disease progresses, then weakness, which is a prodromal period, weakness, fatigue, and other symptoms set in. But then the major complication of this condition is cirrhosis, liver cirrhosis, and which may lead to eventual death of the individual. Currently, there is no treatment to this disease condition. It is only some risk factor associated modification treatment. What are some of the risk factors according to this disease? We have obesity, diabetes, cholesterol, and then metabolic syndrome. The picture there depicts an obese person. But then, it doesn't necessarily mean that every obese person is going to develop non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, or simply put, NASH. The disease statistics shows that in America, it affects about 2 to 5%. Currently, we don't have a specific data for Ukraine, but with the little from the regional hospital of Chenefti shows that the disease is on ascendance. The pathogenesis of this disease condition. First is about deposition of lipids in the hepatocytes, which leads to insulin resistance. And then second is activation of processes in the liver, inflammatory processes in the liver, which release cytokines. And then this together put an oxidative stress, leading to production of free radicals, toxins, and then further affecting the liver for eventual fibrosis and then liver cirrhosis. The pathogenesis continue. You can see from the picture that initially we have a healthy man with now there's a deposition of fats in the liver, then scarring occurs. After fat deposition, scarring occurs, then connective tissue growth, fibrosis, and then finally we have liver cirrhosis. Why do we actually want to study this condition? It is actually affecting a whole lot of people, but the medical fraternity, the patients are like, actually do not put much attention because we don't see it as a very big problem like HIV is, but it is killing people. You know, not all these people who actually get NASH or non-alcoholic steatohepatitis develops cirrhosis. Hence, the need to find out or the need to do a research. A topic becomes a researchable topic when there's a discrepancy between what is and what should be. Diagnosis of this disease condition. You know, we can do other imagery tests to confirm, but to make a very tentative diagnosis, to make a very final diagnosis, we need a liver biopsy. So liver biopsy is considered to make diagnosis of non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. The picture there shows lipid deposition in the histological specimen of somebody with NASH. And so the white spot that you see is lipid deposition in somebody with NASH. Then the mechanism of action. Glutoxim is an analog of oxidized glutathione, and we know glutathione serves as the major security man of the whole entire body. It stands all over the body and look around and make sure that all toxic materials, all things that actually causes major problem in the body are being catered for. So, because lipid deposition in the body and further fibrosis leads to the eventual death of the body, then we need something that is to control these free radicals. And so we thought of using the glutoxim and the research. So the molecular mechanism of glutoxim is a redox control mechanism. And it shows two main mechanisms of action. Activation of normal cells to ensure that the cells that dies during the inflammatory process, during the immune defense mechanisms, during consumption of macrophages and the rest, we make sure that we organize new cells to be able to cater for. And those defective cells that has been diseased by the NASH, the non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, we make sure that we take those cells away so that there is a mechanism of destruction and replacement. So that's what you can see. There's activation of protein kinase cascade. In fact, this is already established material. It is not about my research. So this is already established material. Activation of the protein kinase cascade, which further mobilizes the enzymes responsible for glutathione metabolism. The JR means glutathione reductase, the GT glutathione transferase, and then GP peroxidase. This all works in unison to take away the free radicals and then to activate phosphorylation and the regeneration of new cells. So, and then to take away the defective cells, there is activation of the redox potential. It does so by increasing the p53 protein, which is also a RAS signal pathway indicator, and it induces apoptosis, and apoptosis ends up in the destruction of the cells. So, how do we mobilize new cells? This glutoxim has a high tropism, or it has an affiliation with the cells that are responsible for immune generation cells. So it acts on the central immune system and then the lymphocyte tissues. It also increases hematopoiesis and then erythropoiesis, both in the kidney, in the bone marrows, and then the rest, thereby activating phagocytosis and then increasing the amount of macrophages that has been destroyed already. It also stimulates the interleukin-1 and especially the interleukin-2 alpha receptors, so that they all work in unison. Aim of the study. The study was to evaluate the effectiveness of Thiopoetin in the complex treatment of NASH. You remember that I indicated there is no agreed treatment to NASH, both in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, and in Asia. Currently, there is no treatment to this condition. The only thing is that because we say the risk factors are diabetes, obesity, so we look at all those conditions and then we try to modify our treatment. But this actually brought our knowledge to fore that why is it that we still haven't been able to answer questions if we have Christ? Praise God. Jesus in medicine. So, we say that Christ in you, the hope of glory, and the hope of glory, Christ in you. So, to evaluate the effectiveness of this treatment, we combined, the research actually took place in a month. from 1st August to 31st August 2011. 90 patients were actually enrolled. These 90 patients were those who came to the hospital, and they were divided into a control group and then the study group. The control group was made up of 45, and then the study group as well as 45. The average age of this is together 42.5 plus or minus 5.5. Why this? You see, as human being ages, as we grow, the physiological functions and other things decreases. And so when you are more or less prone to this kind of condition, you might be able to get it. But remember, NASH doesn't actually mean that the person must drink alcohol. It is a condition to which the person may or may not drink alcohol, but it may exist. So that also poses questions like why? And then the average duration of the disease, according to the people, were between 3 and 1.5. The materials and study. According to WHO standard research protocol, you are not supposed to put the control group without treatment. You must give them a basic line in treatment. So both the control group and the study group were both given Strimalol, which is a hepatoprotector. It's a hepatoprotector that is also given to make sure that they are all on a baseline. And then our study group were given Glutoxim, which is produced by the Pharma company located in Russia. The dose of these drugs, for example, in the Strimalol was 35 milligram, 2 tablets 3 times daily after meals. And then the Glutoxim, 30 milligram intravenous once per day. And then, in fact, you can see none. It means that the control group did not receive that of the Glutoxim. They only received the Strimalol. And then the duration of the research or the study was from 1st to 31st August 2011, as indicated. And then the parameters that were investigated in this research or this study are the bilirubin, the aspartate transferase, the alanine aminotransferase, and then reduced glutathione. The efficacy of this treatment was done in such a way that before the treatment, we took their blood level of these parameters, the glutathione, the alanine aminotransferase, and then the bilirubin level. And 1 month after the treatment, we also have to check to assess the efficacy of this treatment. So the graph actually there indicates for the bilirubin level. For the bilirubin level, if you remember your biochemistry or your chemistry well, for an adult, you have about 5 to 17 millimole per liters. That is the normal indicator. Before, in fact, the RX means treatment. So before the treatment, this person was between 64.5. In fact, so you can understand. And after the treatment, you can see it has dropped appreciably to 34.67. And this is within 1 month of the commencing treatment of the study. So it tells us that it's quite very effective if we continue with this treatment. And then control group, you see, they were also on the same level pegging as 64. And then after the treatment, there've been slight decrease to 52. The question now poses why this decreases. Because there have been some kind of modification in their lifestyle. So that actually might have contributed to this decrease. Then if you also look at the alanine aminotransferase, if you also remember your biochemistry, in fact I've indicated the number for people who have forgotten their biochemistry to try to remember. It is 5 to 35 international unit per liters, but in micromole, then you have it in 0.05 to 35. So you can also assess that initially, for normal, you look at the indicator. So this means normal. And then before treatment in the study group, you can look at it. It was around 1.43. And after the treatment, it fell to about 0.35, which is actually telling us that it is getting very normal. And then same as also compared to the study group, the control group as well. Then alanine aminotransferase also follow in that direction. Then the glutathione, reduced glutathione. So the level in the study group also increased after treatment from 0.58 to 0.76. You can also look at glutathione, the amount in the body must be high to be able to contain to these free radicals. But when people have this kind of condition, the amount rather decreases. It means that after working to consume the free radicals, they are diminished and they do not have the ability to regenerate. Conclusion from the study. From the findings of the study, it was revealed that the study group's reduced glutathione level increased significantly. But the control group did not have any significant changes among the parameters investigated. Also, the liver enzymes, as we have indicated earlier, decreased significantly, but the control group did not. The above findings show that there's high therapeutic efficiency of the use of glutathione in the complex treatment of NASH through its repellent action on the glutathione redox system. That opens up a new prospect for the conservative treatment of this disease. Recommendation. Based on the above findings from our study, we recommend that glutathione, maybe those who have come from the international world, you might not have carried out major research into this. Maybe you could recommend to other institutions to include glutathione in the complex treatment of NASH. Thank you very much. Anyone who wants my contact, you can take it for further.